Hello and welcome to the basic and advanced level UFT. My name is Nilesh Wadkar. I have total 20 years of experience into IT industry. I have worked with Atos Origin Geometry, VMLabs, Spider Logic as a test manager, and more than 10 years into the corporate training. So like Accenture, Deloitte, Cognizant, Oracle, Capgemini, Microsoft, 3D PLM, Landscape, Siemens, Syndec. These are my client list. More than 25 clients are. My approach is totally practical approach rather than the theoretical. So we are going to start with the basic to advanced level UFT. How to design the framework, then the VB scripting, descriptive programming, then the API testing as well as AI testing that we will cover. So that is A to Z we are going to cover in the UFT session. So welcome to this section thing. So let's start. So I tried to open that UFT and this is the latest version, that is a 15.0.1. So let's start it. So when you click on this small icon which is available on the desktop once you installed it, so you will get the license warning. So it is a 30 days trial. So you have to click on the continue button. So once you click on the continue button team, right, so we will get it the add-on manager or the add-in manager dialog box. Here we have different kinds of the add-ins. Now what is add-in? Yes, so add-ins are nothing but, see, there are two things. One is an application under test and the your automation tool. So we can consider any automation tool. Yes, whether it is UFT, whether it is a Selenium, whether it is IBM RFT, anything. So the important thing is we have to check whether that the application under test is getting supported by this automation tools. So here we have, say for example, your application is developed in Java or .NET or Visual Basic, correct, or the standard web elements. So we have to select these add-ins. Say if I want to go with the mobile testing, so I have to select with the mobile. Okay, right? So now I have selected ActiveX, Java, Visual Basic, Wave, and WPF. Okay, so these are the add-ins I have selected. Okay. So it is getting supported for this. Suppose if I want to test the mobile-based application, now it won't be possible. I haven't selected that the mobile add-in. So just click on this. So you have to select minimum the add-ins which is required for your application. Otherwise your micro focus UFT will get slowed down. Okay, so it will get little bit impacted on your the performance and that the execution of performance of that. So yes, so just click on the OK button. Right. So let me just go through this the agenda. What is our objective? Right. So we are going to focus on what is the functional testing is all about. What are the different tools that are available in the market? Right. Then we are going to see the little bit history and the evolution of that, just background of that UFT. What are the benefits or the advantages of using this UFT? Right. And then finally, we are going to see what are the new features has been added into the UFT 15.1. Okay, this is called as, even the product is called as a 15.1. At least the 15.0.1 and the 0.2 has come while doing this recording. Okay. Now, this UFT, it is a product of Micro Focus. It was a product of HP, and before that it was a product of Mercury Interactive. It started with the QTP, Quick Test Professional. Now it becomes UFT. So UFT equals to the QTP plus API testing. What exactly the UFT is? Unified. Unified means it's a combination of functionality testing and the API testing. It's combined. Okay, and then it becomes UFT. Okay. So without any further delay, we have to start with the practical approach, right? So we will go through this, the what is functional testing and the tools and blah blah, everything that you might be knowing, but definitely I will focus on this. So let's try to understand this GUI of the UFT. So we'll try to understand. I will show you the one demonstration how to perform this in the record and playback activity on the web-based application as well as on the desktop-based application. Both the application we are going to focus on. Yes team, so let's start. So let me just open it this UFT. Now this is a new look of the UFT team. Correct? It has a startup page and what are the features has been added. What's new in the UFT, and this is the UFT 1. Correct? And the latest version is 15.0.2 is it, but I'm using it's a 15.0.1. Now the few new features has been added, that is AI based wave testing. Now what is this, the AI based wave testing? So sometimes it happens that that particular web element is not recognizing by this tool, so we have to go with that particular the AI is automatically getting to recognize all these objects. So we are going to see practically how exactly we are going to perform this, right? Then the cloud OCR, optical character recognition. So what are these features? Okay, instead of going theoretically, I believe that we can go ahead with practically and then we try to understand all these new features. So hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so let me just start it, show you the GUI, and then we can take one simple example and then we'll start it. Okay, so let me just close this startup page here. You can see that this is the empty canvas. I can say that this is nothing is there. If you check it out, okay, the property panel is also empty and the solution explorer pane is also empty, so nothing is there. So what I want to do, I want to start with the solution explorer, what I want to create. Yes, so now this is menu bar. Let me just check it out, what are the options are there. So when I go to the file and then the new and then the test is there, right? Then the business component. So what are the different types of the test? What are the different options we will get it? So this is what we can get it done. We can create a new test, and even we can go to this and then create a new test. Any option is okay, right? So once you click on the new test, it opens this dialog box. Now here we are getting the options. You can see that whether it is a GUI test, whether it is API test, okay, or whether it is a business process test, whatever it is. So I'm going to give the proper name for this test, that is a test script, and then I just want to perform that as a login activity. Okay. Now what is this the solution name? Basically solution name, it will create some kind of a folder. Say for example, I have a suite 1, suite 2, number of the patches are there. Or I can say that this is my smoke test, this is my regression test. Okay, so we have to create a different solutions for the same. Say for example, now here if I'm going to create an examples, correct, UFT examples. So let me just create UFT underscore examples. This is my solution. It should create a directory for the solution. So this is a by default location where I want to save all this test scripts. All the scripts are getting stored at this particular location. Okay, let's create it. So once I click on the create button, it will create a solution explorer, and this canvas or this thing in the empty canvas will get something, so we have to check what are the options we are getting over here. And UFT is very easy to learn. Okay, now once you open it, you can see that there are two tabs. One is the TS login tab and the action 1 tab, right? Basically when you see this, this is a flow. Flow means flowchart, similar to like a flowchart, right? It's a flowchart that we have to start our test. Then the business logic comes into the action 1, what you want to perform, and then the end, right? So when I double click on it in the action 1, I will get into that in the point. So here we are going to write it down the script. Okay, so it supports the VB script as well as the C sharp. So now this is what we are going to focus on the VB scripting. Yes, right. Now if you see, these are all, even the small icons are there. These are the shortcuts which are available. Correct. And there are different panes, like it's a solution and the toolbox pane. Okay. And then there is an output, active screen, yes, data sheet. So we are going to take this ahead in details, right? So once we require it, so we will go through this all these things in detail, right? So I will explain you what is this, the global sheet and action one sheet. Yes. So what is the run, step result, etc. So this is the output. Okay. Now there are different types of the recording modes are there. When we started, there are different types of the recording mode. So we are trying to understand that is a by default recording mode first. So let's try to understand what is a by default recording mode. Okay. Now you can see that we have created a solution explorer, that is we have T examples, right? And under this UFT examples, there is something called as a TS login, and this is your test script, and it contains one action, and this is a by default action one. We can rename it if you want to say that this is a login, so you can say that this is a login action. Okay, right. So let's start. Before going to start recording, we have to understand the application which is going to be tested. So let's go. So this is your sample application, orangegerlive.com. So here its username is admin, and then the admin123, and then the login, and then the logout. So this is what the actions we need to perform. So let's start recording and then check it out whether it will get recorded or not. So I have to check first, in the real-time scenarios, we are not going to perform in the recording. We are going to write it down the script directly, and which is called as a descriptive programming. Okay, fine. So let's try to record this scenario. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this scenario, that is a login. So what are the steps are there, team? So when I go to this, let me just open a notepad and then write it down what are the steps that we are going to do. Okay, so this is the scenario to validate login window. Okay, so it is a web-based application. What are the steps are there? First we have to launch, right? This is web URL. So we have to launch this application. I can say that web URL, it is a web-based application, so that's why, right? Then we have to enter username, we have to enter password, and click on login, right? Click login button. So these are the steps that I want to perform, right? So let's start, and we have to perform all these steps, right? So this application is already launched. Okay, and if you want to launch this automatically, we will take this, we are going to discuss this thing later, right? Now let's see. So let me just start the recording team. How to do this? There is a button called as a record, yes, or here also we have the record button. So we have to go to this, the record button. So shortcut is F6. So when you just click on the record button, you can see that there are web tab, then the Java tab, and the Windows application tab. Now we have to focus on the web. So it is a web-based application. Now there are two options. You can see this, right? So the record and run on any open browser which has been already opened, correct? And open the following when the recording is running. So which application you want to, that it's a local browser. So which browser you want to go, right? It is a local browser, and here we have different options. So it is getting supported for the Google Chrome, right? Internet Explorer, okay, then in the Firefox, Mozilla Firefox. So these are the the different browsers. Okay, right. So let's start with open and record with the already open, right? We have already opened that the browser application is already launched. So I'm going to start with the by default, that is the record and run on any open browser. So let's start. Apply, click on OK button. So when I click on the record button, right? So you can see that here we are getting the recording of that TS login, right? TS login, and this dialog box, it contains what? It's a stop, then the pause, different kind of the actions. By default name it is action 1, correct? And this is the action. What is the action? Then what are the different types of the action? What is called to new action? What is called to copy of action, existing action? That we will see later on. Now these are the different types of the recording modes, right? There are 4 types of recording modes. Remember, there are 4 types of recording. One is the default, analog recording, low level recording, and inside recording. So practically we are going to do all this, the recording types. We see the difference between these 4, right? Practical, right? So let's start. So I just want to go ahead with this application, right? Orange channel. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to enter the username. Just enter username, right? Just enter password, that is admin123. Okay, and just click on the login button. Now we are performing on the web-based application team, right? And let me just the log out. Done. And then stop recording. Now when you see that when I'm performing some action, so it is getting added, there are 5 steps has been added. So let me just stop it and then see. Okay, now you can see that there are 5 steps has been added, right? Okay, now what exactly this browser, then the orange HRM, then the page, and then again orange HRM, what is this web edit, what is this web button, what is this link and all, right? So now we are trying to focus on the record and playback activity, not on the scripting part. And this is very easy to understand, right? When I see this particular line of code, I can understand that the first line of code, that enters the username. Then the second line of code, it enters the password, and there is a method called as a set secure. So we can't see, it is an encrypted format. It's not admin123. Okay, then I clicked on the login button, right? So that is a web element, and that's why it is printing it as a web button. Okay, so this is what we are going to focus on, right? And then there is a link. So we'll see what exactly all these things, web element, web button and all, okay? And how to identify this element. Okay, so this is, we have recorded the script. Let me just save this. Okay, now we have to run it. When I click on the run button, I'm getting where to save this, obviously, where we have to save this, right? So here we have to save the new result folder, okay, or otherwise you have to save it in the temporary. Yes, I am not sure whether the result is pass or fail. So I am going to click on this in the temporary and then run it. So whatever it is there, so it will temporary. It won't get, say for example, if I select on this, so it will create a result called as a TS login res1, okay, separately, or it will create one folder which is called the res1 by default. You can rename it, right? But when I run the second run, so it will override or it will create another res2. So many the folders or the files will get created. That is the result file. So I don't want to necessarily get into that. Let me just confirm it the result, and then I can get into this in the permanent result. So let's try to get it into the temporary and just run it. So when I click on the run button, it will execute it. It will play back. it will run it. So whatever we expected, so it enters the admin. Okay, so there is in the error, execution error, right? So let me just cancel it out and then again we'll try it out. Okay, there is a problem with the credentials in the valid credentials. So let's see what happened. Okay, right. So it is saying that welcome to Paul and all. Okay, so let's stop. No problem. So we'll try to run it again. Okay, net connection. We have to check. Yes. Okay, let me just try it out once. Yes, now you can see that, and now it opens with the new window and it has a built-in HTML result window, and I separately just saying that it should view in the separate result viewer, and this is called as a result viewer. You can see the detailed result. So what is the test name, correct, then the result name, execution time, run started, run ended, and the total time which execute, right? And then the pie chart, how many test cases are passed, how many steps are passed, or how many steps are failed, everything. And the host name, correct, the product name, etc. And when you expand it, you have to just expand it and then see this is all the steps, correct. So you launch this orange and then you enter the admin, then you enter the password, correct, and you clicked on the login. Then after that, what you clicked on the welcome link, and then you clicked on the logout. So these are the details you will get. Okay, so we will discuss on this in the result, definitely. So this is simply how we have to perform the record and playback activity on web-based application. Okay, so hope you enjoy this session. Okay, so we'll continue with the desktop based application. Okay, so thank you and happy learning.